This segment is being brought to you by Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Join us in preserving and protecting Tennessee's wildlife. All right, welcome back everyone to Southern Woods and Waters. We have with us tonight Brian Carper that owns Brian Carper's Guide Service. And, you know, we've been talking to you a little bit about Percy Priest and Old Hickory, and that's the main two lakes that he covers. And he covers it both for crappie, bass, bluegill, catfish, hybrids. He's not a striper. He doesn't necessarily, because there's some great striper guys out there. There really is. They're phenomenal. You're right. But just about any other fish you want to go for, Brian can help you out. I'm just telling you, ladies and gentlemen, for the money, you don't have the headaches. I mean, all the headaches are on Brian then, and then he gladly takes them because he's out there all the time, and he can pretty much handle it. So, Brian, we're going to ask you, I mean, families, you love to take families on. The Facebook page showed the kids. You love to take kids, but you're getting a lot of clients from up north coming down, and so what should somebody be encouraged about to try and use a guide? I mean, you know, people they may know somebody, but that's a iffy thing.
Yeah, you know, when you're out there every day and your gear's up to par and your batteries are charged and you don't have to worry about anything.
The props, the good shape.
You know, you'd be amazed how many times I get asked what I need to bring. And we simply tell them nothing. Bring your license. You just got to have your license. You know, I used to go places and take my boat to tournament fish a lot, and when I would go somewhere and I was allowed to with the rules to get a guide, I definitely would to help learn or just,
you bet,
you know, become more knowledgeable about the lake. So, you know, we get so many people that are in, especially in the spring from up north because it's still so cold and the fishing season hasn't started yet, where they can come down here and bass and crappie fish. And, you know, we say you just walk on. You don't need to bring anything. And if you have a boat around here, a lot of guys and my clients have changed from their boats. They went out once, twice a year. They'd sell it, and then they'd hire us once or a month or every 2 months because they don't have to worry about insurance and all that.
Right.
So they just jump in and go fishing and usually learn quite a bit as well and catch some fish in the meantime.
And have a good time.
Yeah, it's just stress-free. Jump on, and you got a good group of guys that are going to joke around and high-five and take care of you. You know, we're thankful that they're letting us take them out, and you know, we make sure that that gets done the right way. So
you mentioned the pontoon earlier, and that's intrigued me a little bit because now you're gearing up to take entire families.
Yeah,
Mom, Dad, the kids, maybe Grandma. Everybody gets to go.
Everybody, and it's fun because it can get kind of crazy. Little grandkids and grandparents, but typically that's what they enjoy. That's
why you're so skinny.
I know.
Putting crickets on and going bluegill fishing with the whole family, that would do it.
It will keep you working. You get in a pontoon boat with 20-mile-per-hour wind, and you're going to work for every penny.
You're going to work.
No,
but now,
it's great.
Catfishing, I mean, a lot of people, you know, still there's a lot of people that fish for catfish.
Yeah.
But with the pontoon, that's going to make it a little easier.
Yeah.
To go out there and carry a family to catch some really nice catfish. And Percy Priest has got some big catfish.
It does, and you know, one of my guys does some jugging at night, and that's great for everybody to get out and, you know, have an adventure at night and the lights, and then, you know, go check them all, and it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a messy cleanup, but it's worth every little bit of it.
It is now. That's when you need one of those lightweight pressure washers just to wash it off.
That's what we need, a couple of them.
Yeah, but now catfish, I believe that Percy Priest is one of the sleeper lakes for big catfish.
Yeah, there's a ton, and one of the guys last week or 2 weeks, Dayton Blair, he's probably one of the best I've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, he puts up pictures of tables full of them, and you know, we get out rarely.
I've tried to show him everything. I mean, he'll tell you. No.
He's good. We get a big rain, and we get the lake turned up real good, and you know, the catfish, you know, it's a whole other sport.
Now,
it's a lot
Dayton's
of fun.
secret is he really likes a heavy rain to bring the water up quickly.
Yeah, it just starts the whole chain. It gets the water pouring into the lake, and it's time to eat.
And I'm going to because a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want to go after a rain; it muddies up the water and all that."
Yeah.
But isn't it like ringing the dinner bell because all the insects are coming down into the water? They're fresh.
Yeah.
So you got everything in the world that eats an insect, which is all fish.
Yeah.
It's like opening up a buffet line, isn't it?
It is, and the nice part about Percy Priest is there's runoffs and creeks and springs and
just about everywhere you look.
Everywhere. So, you know, if we've got a big flash flood and you're fishing a bank without some running water, you need to get on the boat and start looking for some water coming in.
That's right.
That's where, you know, as you fish and you learn the lake and other fishermen that are experienced, you just see all the boats running to all the springs and, you know, everywhere where the runoff is, and they're doing the right thing. You know, that's where the fish are going to feed, and you're going to get the most bites. So a lot of rain usually equates to a lot of fish on Percy Priest.
Yeah. Brian, I want to take this moment to thank you, first of all, for being a great fisherman. Yeah. I thank you for being a friend, but I also want to thank you for being an EMT here in the Nashville area. That's kind of, you have to keep up with what's going on all the time, and I know you're studious about it, but I want to ask you something. Percy Priest and Old Hickory, what's the biggest concern that you see for those two lakes right now in 2016?
You know, I'll be honest. One of the biggest concerns, and this might be a little not the answer that you would expect, but one of the biggest concerns for me, and I hope this gets taken on soft ears, is that I think we need more buoys on Percy Priest Lake for rocks and danger. I think that is a huge concern, and I think there needs to be a lot of danger buoys where I watch people every day, every week, every year going over these rocks, smashing their boats, and really putting people at danger. And I'm going to follow up, but they do a great job. TWRA does a great job. But it scares me sometimes on the upper end.
But is that TWRA's job to put those out, or is it the Corps of Engineers?
Well, I see them moving them out there sometimes to put them back in place, so I guess I'm assuming there. But I think pretty sure it's the Corps, because they're the ones that run that they need to help enforce that. Then, because I've seen some pretty bad wrecks out there, and it's just because things aren't marked. And so if there's a concern or a fear I have, it's usually for the safety out there that I think could be prevented a little bit.
I want to throw my 2 cents in on it too, because I like to night fish, and night fishing has gotten really, really dangerous because guys feel like that they know the lake so well that they can still drive 55 and 65 mile an hour, and you just really can't. We had a great friend that almost run over 2 guys in a canoe just the other night, and it really shook him up. And he because you're supposed to have lights on those. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're partying out there at Elm Hill or one of the islands, or you camped out on one of the islands and you're going to stay all weekend, that is all great and good, and that's what they're there for. But please don't take a 500-yard swim out in the middle of the lake at midnight when there's boats everywhere, because you don't have a headlight on your head, and somebody's going to get hurt.
I've seen it.
And then it's always going to be blamed on the fisherman.
Sure.
And wasn't the fisherman that was out there doing the wrong thing. You know, he may have been running, he just couldn't see you.
And Priest is not known for all the humps and ledges out in the middle.
Oh, it is.
So, I mean, some of the most popular spots, the cut-throughs and all those areas, you know, it is. I know a lot of guys and clients that say, I don't fish at night anymore, and they have a story. And that was enough for them. You know, one night that scared them, and they said it ain't worth it.
It's not.
And I've been out there many times where you get a little nervous, you hear boats, and you know, you don't know what's going to happen. You hope nothing bad, but there's guys definitely zipping up and down the lake that you know,
high rates of speed.
At risk.
You put people at risk.
There's no time or room for error if things go wrong.
No.
Not at all.
That's enough of that. And the concerns there, we're going to keep reiterating, because we don't want anybody to get hurt this year on our Tennessee lakes. And already we've had 1 fatality. So let's try not to not to do that. And we're not even in boating season yet. Not what they
Yeah.
consider. That's Memorial Day weekend.
Coming up.
Coming up. But it does start Safe Boating Week also the week prior to Memorial Day. So starting Monday, it'll be Safe Boating Week. Let's try and do the right thing and get our boats checked out for safety. I do want to say hybrids. What's the deal? I want to get into some hybrids, Brian.
There's a ton.
There's a bunch of hybrids out there, isn't
And
there?
you can just about follow the boats around now. There's a lot of hybrid fishermen that once you get hooked on them, I'm a bass fisherman at heart.
I am
Probably
too,
second, but man, when you get into them, you can't help but just have a ball. And if it's out near Bryant's Grove or down near Elm Hill, on a lot of days in the summer, in the end of the spring here, we're getting ready to hit a big push of getting some great action. You can run into them pretty regularly.
We're not talking about 2 or 3 pounders. We're talking about 5, 6, 7, 8 pounders.
Yeah, 10,
Nice
12,
ones.
some big ones.
Big ones.
We get into them crappie fishing. If they're in the area where we're crappie fishing, brush piles, it's a ball, especially for kids and clients, because they think they're getting a little crappie, and next thing you know, they're holding on for dear life.
Dear life.
And you're telling them, don't let go of that rod. But it's a ball. They're everywhere.
Brian, we got a caller here. We're going to go and see Emily. Emily, how can we help you tonight? Emily?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. How can we help you, Emily?
Yeah, I just wondered if you guys ever caught 2 fish on one lure at one time, because I did it the other day and it was so exciting.
It is exciting. It is. Well, Emily, yes, we have, but I'm going to let Brian tell you a little bit about it.
I have, and one of the best stories I have for this is, I'll make it a short story. I was throwing a spook in a tournament. We signed up for 2 tournaments that morning, and we were getting blow-ups, and they were missing on the spook. We said, let's go back, and the big one ate it. And while we were reeling the big one in on the spook, my buddy got the net, and it made a hard charge. And I said, boy, it's a big one, get the net. And when he came and scooped it up, we had a 5-pounder on the front of the spook and a 5-pounder on the back of the spook.
Oh, my goodness.
And we took first and second place on that cast.
That is awesome.
And that never
awesome.
happens, especially in a tournament. So that was exciting.
Well, Emily, I'll tell you one other, and that was I went fishing with my good friend Chris Snow on Center Hill, using a spook, just like you were talking, at the Narrows. You know where the Narrows are. And he came across those rocks, and he had 2 4-pounders that missed it, and we got them on film. But then all of a sudden, he had a 5-pounder take it, and as he's bringing it by the boat, there was 2 other big smallmouth trying to take it out of his mouth, and he finally hooked another one. So, great stories, and thank you, Emily, for calling. And that was a great question.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
And that's awesome. Everybody's got a topwater story, or I love it. I had one time at we got Miss Emma's gone.
She's gone.
She's just about
I don't know
gone.
how she's going to run the family business, sleeping all the time.
She needs a rest.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
Well, I tell you what, we've got. What I was going to tell you is I had some spook action on Del Holla, and Chris Snow again was with me, and we had one that big 4 or 5 pound small. It's pretty good, about 4.5 pounder, I guess. She jumped up and missed the spook on the upswing, but then she made a flip and got it on the downside, and it was awesome to watch that.
You never know what you're going to get on
never
spook.
know.
They'll whack it 10 times and get it on the last one, or
It's pretty amazing.
Exciting.
It's exciting. Topwater action's got to be my favorite.
It is my favorite.
That and throwing a frog and anticipating and not setting the hook till you feel him, and that's hard to do.
That's hard to do. Yeah, I've been whooped a couple times, getting a little trigger happy. So.
Hey, we got to do our tip of the week, and we're going to get Brian to do that, so let's go to our tip of the week. This week's tip of the week is being brought to you by Davidson County Farmers Co-op, right there off of Dickerson Road, not right near downtown in Trinity Avenue. You can check them out. They've got all kinds of stuff from horses to cows to chicks to chickens to ducks, rabbits, guinea pigs, everything you need you can find right there at the Davidson County Farmers Co-op. All right, Brian, what would be a great tip for most of our fisher personnel out there?
Well, one of probably the biggest tips I could give this time of year is we're in this transition from spring to summer, from shallow to deep. And one of the most critical tips that I could give is your line size. Right. Now, when you start going deeper, and you're coming out of the shallow where you're around a lot of structure and chasing those big fish, you got to make sure. I'm a plastic fisherman a lot, so when you go out a little bit deeper on points and humps, you got to make sure you feel the bottom. You have to make sure we get a lot of wind. So for me, it would be to find, well, it's usually about 10 or 12 or 14 pounds for me, but what works with whatever rod the fisherman's using, something that they can feel the bottom very well, even if it's windy, upgrade their weight, and they'll be able to feel more bites ultimately. Because if you go too low in your pound test, then you miss a lot deeper or you break off a lot. And if you go too big, which I do sometimes on big lures, you don't feel the bite as much.
Right.
So I would try to stay, tip of the week would be stay in 10 to 12 pounds if you're any deeper than 10 feet. On your plastic worms and your plastic crawfish.
That's a great tip. I've never heard that
with a lot of clients that sometimes have way too thick, and they don't feel it, and I have to add weight, to their line, or they come out with 6, and they can feel great, but they're breaking off when when the one they get on, they want to get in the boat. You
can't hoss them with 6 pound test.
No, you got to have it set just right. You better have that drag set right.
All right, great tip from our good friend Brian Carper. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Lord, they've already done it over here in the recipe section, so we'll be right back with more of Southern Woods and Waters.